Hello folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. So, I'm sorry to say that in the great city of Liverpool, there appears to be yet another outbreak. No, not of COVID, not of measles, but of wonky judges' scorecards and wonky refereeing. I'm referring to the Brad Strand and Ionut Baluta fight. Now, this went the distance, 10 rounds, and it was for the WBO Super Bantamweight title. Strand is 28 years old, Baluta is a Romanian, is 31 years old, and I thought Brad Strand won the fight. I had $5 on Brad Strand, so there's my bias to start with, right? But no, I thought Brad Strand won the fight. I thought he outboxed Baluta. I'm not saying it was a runaway win. It was, it was a close-ish fight, I suppose. Like, it was okay, But I thought that Brad Strand won the fight. My own little scoring here was, I had it 96-94. So, good fight. But close enough fight. But Brad Strand, I think, suffered a little bit, unfortunately, by judges' scorecards that, to me, don't make a whole lot of sense. I'm not jumping up and down and saying this was a robbery, because I'm not saying it was a robbery. I'm just saying that I thought that Brad Strand did enough to win the fight. But the wonkiness of judging, and there was some wonky reffing as well, it leads me to wonder, how are judges trained and how are judges schooled, and are judges watching the same fight as me? So the scorecards, again, Giovanni, the Italian judge, he scored it 97-93 for Brad Strand. Like I say, I thought it was a bit closer than that, actually. So, again, like he was giving the fight to Brad Strand a little bit more than I was. But then we had Inadi. I'm not sure where he's from. Zoltan Inadi, Hungarian maybe, could be Romanian. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. He scored it 91 for Brad Strand and 98 for Baluta. So that's 8 rounds to 2 against Brad Strand, which so if we just look at those two judges, Giovanni and Agnedi, they watch totally different fights. Now, there's some rounds which you could go either way, right? I'm not. It's not an absolute black and white thing. It's not like the 100 meters dash. But one had it sort of 7-3 one way, and the other had it 8-2 the other way. And it's really hard for a fan like me to sort of reconcile those two scorecards, because you wonder, like, well, what fight were they watching? Like, I understand that two reasonable people can watch the same fight and come down on either which way, right? Like, if you and I watched Beterbiev and Bivol, you could say Beterbiev won, I could say Bivol won, you could say Bivol won, I could say Beterbiev won. And neither of us could be really, really criticized. It's one of those things where we're looking for slightly different things. But when you've got one guy saying 97-93 for fighter A, and the other guy saying, no, 91-98 for fighter B, it makes you wonder. Like, these aren't two, drunk guys in a sports bar. These are two professional judges. The third judge, Terry O'Connor, scored it 94-96 for Baluta. And Yeah, I mean, I saw it differently, but I can't really sort of get sort of wound up about that. It was, there's room for differences of opinion. The big thing for me is these massive swings. Like I just don't get it, and it causes me to lose confidence in the system of judging that we have. Right. Now the other thing is, and it feels like I'm sort of picking on this referee because the last time I spoke about this referee was in respect to the Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan fight. And that's Mr. Marcus McDonald, who's been a ref since 1988. He's a very experienced ref. But he awarded Baluta a knockdown against Brad Strand in the 9th round. And I didn't think it was a knockdown. And it's not just me. I'm on this little group with the other people who appear at various times on Porky's Corner. And we were all sort of chit-chatted back and forth, right? And everyone's saying, but that's not a knockdown. It's not a knockdown. So, anyhow, I feel somewhat exhausted about complaining about Marcus McDonald because he doesn't see things the way that I see things. And again, I thought that this was unfair to the Liverpool lad who I didn't think he was knocked down. So I wonder, and I think I already know the answer to this, but I wonder, is there a process by which both judges and referees are held accountable? Like, do you have to go in front of a panel and explain how you arrived at your conclusion? Because that would be a logical, smart thing to do. So if I'm, a referee or if I'm a judge, I know that, okay, it's Saturday, I'm doing my work. But on Monday morning, I've got to appear in front of people and say, well, this is the reason I arrived at this conclusion. This is what I saw, because that's the only way you're going to have 2 or 3 important things: transparency, consistency, and accountability. Absent that, there's no real consequence. Anyhow, hopefully this is my only rant of the day. And we can move on. So if you please share, please subscribe. I'm going to get on and watch the rest of the card. Thanks so much. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.